Good morning. Welcome to NewsWare's Trade Talk for Friday, June 26th. Okay, let's get into the action. Take a look at the S&Ps. We're lowered by 0.68%, about 0.7% this morning. Tech stocks continue to drive the overall sentiment, and it's negative. I mean, markets really focused on a bunch of AI names, and, there's a lot of regulatory scrutiny going on under these names. I mean, AI companies are facing increasing pressure, due to governmental oversight. Meanwhile, you look over at China, their open AI models, they're gaining some traction because they're not under the same type of oversight that the U.S. models are, which is kind of raising competitive pressure concerns on the global AI leaders. Then you got, oil prices. Oil prices are actually pulling back this morning. That tanker that Singapore tanker that was fired upon yesterday, the market's discounting that because guess what? Oil is still flowing, so, that's positive that we got the lower oil prices. On the economic calendar today, the key report really is a consumer sentiment report. That's the University of Michigan report. On the corporate calendar and corporate news, listen, OpenAI is considering delaying its IPO until next year. That's a report that came out yesterday after the bell. A big factor out there is the rising memory costs. And yesterday, the hardware OEMs said they expect to implement price increases due to these elevated memory costs. Now, the theory is that this is going to dampen demand across, portions of the technology sector, which is why you continue to see weakness in that sector. There was some positive news, on the Medicare front because effective July 1, qualified Medicare beneficiaries are going to be able to obtain weight loss medications for just $50 a month, which is positive. On the corporate calendar today, you got shareholders meetings from AON and Signet Jewelers. On the earnings front, FDXF, it's trading lower this morning. They released earnings yesterday after the bell. Not much really to say there because, it's a recent spinoff. But next week, we got earnings coming out from Stars, Nike, and General Mills, something to keep an eye on. Okay, let's take a look at the global markets. We're going to start off with the DAX, which is down 1.27% or 317 points. Weakness in autos, retail, and tech. London, the FTSE, is down 0.86%. Pharma, aerospace, tech, all moving lower. CAC in Paris is down 0.85%. There's some slight gains in luxury stocks, but that's being outweighed by losses in tech and financial, that's for sure. And Asia was red. No way around it. Asia was just negative. You look at the Nikkei, it fell 4.15% overnight, which, is almost as much as it gained the day before. I mean, technology stocks retreated. I mean, they had that stronger than expected inflation reading, which kind of reinforced the expectations that they're going to continue to raise rates. Hong Kong, the Hang Seng fell 405 points. That's 1.76%. Tech and financials really pushed that market lower. Hang Seng has really been weak as of late. The Shanghai in China fell 2.26%. Inflationary pressures, driven by surging chip demand. That's kind of weighing on tech stocks. And the broader market sentiment was really negative. So we had some real negativity there in China. And then you look at oil, and oil is down, a little over 2%. It was down over 3%. WTI is trading $70.32, where Brent is at $73.32. Both down about, 2.25%. Flows are resuming through the Strait of Hormuz. That's positive. That Iranian attack on the cargo vessel, it's being discounted. And then you had some additional downside pressure happening this morning because Saudi Arabia restarted crude loadings at a key Persian Gulf terminal following like a 4-month stoppage. So, that's kind of positive for oil prices to move lower. Okay, now we're moving on into earnings, and we're starting off with FDXF, which is at FedEx Freight. I mean, the stock's down 0.43% this morning. I mean, they seem to have a solid quarter, but it's a recent spinoff. Not much to take a look at there. And then we got APOG, which also released this morning. And, listen, it stock's up by 9.46%. They beat by a penny, although it was done on lower revenue. Okay, next week we got earnings: Stars, Constellation Brands, Nike, NKE, General Mills, GIS. General Mills is being hit with price target cuts all month long, so I'm not expecting anything positive out of GIS when they report next week. Okay, in terms of economic reports, international trade in goods, the advanced figure that's coming out at 8:30. Also at 8:30, the advanced figure on retail inventories. Then at 10 a.m., we get the consumer sentiment report. 1 p.m., Baker Hughes rig count. 11:30 a.m., Minneapolis, Fed Bank President Neil Kashkari is scheduled to speak. Okay, now we're taking a look at some of the news hitting the tape this morning. And we, got to start off with Apple, which is, UBS is out there saying that the product margins are expected to decline modestly. I would like to see minimally, but it's a modestly, so I'm a little concerned about that. But I look at the stock; it's up, it's trading higher this morning. That's good to see. Amazon, there's an AWS summit going on this weekend in D.C., and also that there's a hackathon going on this weekend. Could be something there. Meta Platforms looking to replace human moderation with generative AI. Meta makes a lot of headlines, but they never really seem to come through with anything since Facebook, really. Tesla regulators closed a probe into a steering issue that caused a loss of power after a Tesla software upgrade. There's NVIDIA. They're going to be speaking at a Davos tech summit that starts next weekend, July 1st. JP Morgan, JPM, they announced management changes. They're setting up a race on who's going to become the next CEO. Microsoft OpenAI said to be delaying its IPO until next year. In terms of merger news, onsemi is going to buy Synaptics SYNA for a $7 billion transaction. On Semiconductors also updated their guidance, 65 cents to 77 cents, street estimate 71 cents. That was more of a reaffirm. Shareholders meetings, Aon Inc., and Signet Jewelers, SIG, having shareholders meetings today. Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about our pick of the day. And I got to go with Boeing, ticker BA. I think there might be something there. I mean, listen, if I can, China Southern is going to buy Boeing planes for at least $3.62 billion. News really isn't heavily out there yet, but you're going to see more of this coming. I think that's going to have a positive effect on the stock today. Yeah, yesterday's call volume, 31K to 17K. Open interest is 421K to 354K. That's positive. Major brokers raising price targets. Like to see that. Listen, if I can get in the low 217s, that'd be great, because I think we're going over 220. That would be more than 1%. So yeah, I like shares of Boeing, ticker BA today. 217, a low 217 is an entry price. Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about the stocks that are hitting the tape this morning. See if we see anything exciting happening. There's DraftKings launches a proprietary prediction markets exchange, DKNG. Kevin Warsh names 2 veteran Fed central bank economists as advisors. DOJ officials tell staff he wants to avoid antitrust trials. Nike expected to terminate first-tier online distribution authorization in China. UTHR is having a shareholders meeting today at 10:30. Italy regulator probes Microsoft over its Microsoft 365 price hike. Elon Musk, SpaceX targets U.S. consumers with Starlink mobile service push. That's all I'm seeing this morning. Okay, now we're going to move on. We're going to talk about yesterday's pick of the day, which was Moderna, and it did work out. I mean, look at the numbers. I mean, the stock opened up at $60.33. Now, it fell down to $57.90. Now, I was thinking $58.75. It actually fell beneath that. But then it rallied back and it roared back, and it actually hit a high of $61.85 in the morning. So, yeah, you got your 1% there. You're able to walk away, and that's what we target, 1%. So, mRNA, Moderna, was a winner on Thursday. All right, traders, you guys know what to do. Let's go out there and let's make some green.